think about taking, you can take powdered potassium, or, you get there's all sorts of different powdered electrolyte drinks. If you look at the label, there's like 4 or 5 electrolytes in there. And again, you've got that problem of absorption, because it first has to be digested, broken down, ionized. Maybe you're going to get 10 or 12% of that. So why not, instead of doing that, take an electrolyte, plant-based electrolyte drink. And if it's pure, already 100% ionized, when you drink it, it's already beginning to be absorbed through the tissues in your mouth, in your esophagus, in your stomach, because the fulvic is that flavonoid. It's that flavonoid is the word for that thing that does that co-transport of the minerals directly into your cells. So it's to me, when I think about these powdered drinks, I'm like, oh my God, people are taking all these powdered drinks, and they're not very effective. And people still are having cramps, and they're still having headaches, and they're still having those energy things and the aching muscles. And especially if they're doing low carb, you experience those, keto flu symptoms. We've had so many people, they start taking ours, and after a week, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could feel this good. People told me I'd feel good, but I didn't feel good,
Yeah, that's so interesting that you can tie it to the keto people. And that's why electrolytes have become because everyone is doing keto now and most aren't doing it right. And then even if you are doing it right, you're running into this problem, which is mineral imbalances. And I think that's true for really any extreme diet. Carnivore people run into this, vegan people run into this.
Yeah. Yes.
I've had my issues with cramping and electrolyte imbalances. So, and it's not it's not for lack of not taking enough stuff. Like I put salt in my water all the time, but it's, there's also other things at play too, which is interesting. I've had some podcasts about oxalates, and, this was an issue for me personally, because I used to take I was taking a lot of magnesium, and I did a mineral hair test, and then it came back and my magnesium was still super low. And I'm like, I'm taking like 600 or 700 milligrams a day of magnesium. How is this not absorbing? Turns out I also had a high level of oxalate. And so in my diet was just very high oxalate. And this kind of comes with, again, when you're doing a healthy diet and everyone tells you to eat your leafy greens and all this healthy food, well, you don't realize like there's all of these anti-nutrients like oxalate and lectins in these things that do utilize your minerals, and then you put a stressful lifestyle on top of that. Your adrenals are burning through all of this stuff. Your bone density is kind of going crazy. So it's using your calcium and phosphorus and everything's out of balance. So it sounds like using these two compounds, the fulvic and the starts with an H. What is it again? Humic.
Humic.
I don't know why I can't remember that one.
That's all right.
It sounds like this is absolutely essential to really getting the most out of these. Any mineral, any nutrient that you take in. It sounds like a great pairing for really any stack.
I'm telling you, I've seen it over and over again. In fact, I just realized I haven't gotten you any minerals. I need to get you some.
Yeah.
So
look at me. I'm over here cramping. I've actually had a few cramps during the podcast. Like I sit here.
Are you serious?
Not this podcast, but I've had several. I've had several actually in the last month where I'm sitting here and then all of a sudden it's like I kick my chair back and I'm like moving my leg and it's like I have like a painful cramp in my calf.
After this, you have to give me your address. I'm going to send you some minerals because then what we'll do is we'll have you take them and then you'll have to get back to me on how your cramping is, because I'm telling you, I had one guy, he's a keto guy, he had an eye twitch for like 3 months. Within 3 days of taking the minerals, the eye twitch went away. It's never come back. So he takes them religiously. So, and on it, I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised. The other thing that's been cool is that I've had several people they've done their mineral tests before and after taking it, and they had all these imbalances, low, high, different imbalances of minerals. And once they started taking them regularly for about 3 months, their tests started just regulating out into the optimum amounts. So
that's
pretty
very
cool. Because the thing that is really cool, the other thing that you have to think about when you're thinking about the chelation aspect of both fulvic and humic is that some of those imbalances that you have in your system might, in some people, they might have too much iron, as an example.
Sure.
But that will get chelated out. You see? Mm-hmm. So the humic will chelate that out. So it's really helpful. And then the fulvic will help the cells actually utilize the calcium, or what was it with you? Magnesium was low?
Yeah, I've had just imbalances.
The assimilation, absorption, yeah.
Right. Yeah, magnesium's not my problem anymore. It's typically so it's kind of a mix between calcium, zinc, and I think maybe selenium or phosphorus. One of those that they just kind of like they fluctuate a lot with me depending on. I mean, probably who knows, my diet or whatever. Well, what I'm taking.
The body is a dynamic system. Very
dynamic, yeah. But
right.
But I will be able to report back to you on what's on how those are effective for me. And I'm, like I said, I track everything with my Oura ring. You know, I think a lot of this also plays into sleep, you know, especially like how is your body utilizing magnesium to make melatonin to stay asleep, you know, are you getting cramps during the night and waking up? Are you sodium deficient? And this is causing you to wake up several times a night and go to the bathroom. You could, the possibilities are endless. So, so I like to think that would probably be something that I could very easily track and report back to you.
Excellent. You know, the other thing is a lot of people think, and I know athletes who take salt capsules and stuff. But one of the things that I learned in my research, which is kind of an interesting piece, is that, you know, our body doesn't like a lot of salt. Like when you drink salt water, it makes you queasy. You know, like if you drink ocean water, it'll make you feel a little nauseous, right? And salt is actually an irritant. High levels of salt is an irritant to the bladder. So when you use salt-based electrolytes over a long period of time, it can create irritation in the bladder and the kidney, and it can create, it can actually lead to the creation of kidney stones. Oh. So it's not a great way to get electrolytes. Salts, and that's the other cool thing is when you think about electrolytes from plant-based minerals, they're not salts. They're not salts.
What are they?
They're ionized. So this people say, so what people ask me, because, you know, one of the things people are really knowledgeable about minerals and mineral supplementation, they have heard or read that certain types of electrolytes are more bioavailable. So, and I don't know those words, those things off the top of my head, but they'll say, do you have sodium gluconate or do you have potassium citrate? What kind of potassium do you have in your minerals? And I say, no, you don't understand. In our minerals, there is potassium, ionized potassium. It's ready to bind with whatever is necessary for the body. You see? So it's actually all the way down to the you know, the chemical table, you know, the periodic table of potassium. That's a really different thing. Than taking potassium citrate or potassium gluconate or whatever it is. Okay.
That's a good way to explain it. You know, because that actually hits you in a spot in your brain where you're like, wait, when I take potassium citrate, that's not potassium. And it's mimicking. It's not the actual thing. And
So isn't it interesting that you take so many minerals and have taken, and you still have cramps? And of course, you know, we say it's because of the absorption and assimilation issues. So that's one of the issues, but it's also because what is the form that you're taking? And your body may not need that form. It may need a different form. Are you taking potassium citrate or gluconate or whatever it is? Right. You know, and your body needs another form.
Yeah. That's the case. That's the case with magnesium. A lot of times there's like 50 different kinds of magnesium, and people are like, what do I take? And then the oxide is the cheapest one. So that's what people go with. And then they're like, magnesium totally makes me poop all the time. It's great. Yes. You're like, no, that just means your body doesn't like it. So,
well, and the reason it's making that happen is because it's trying to eliminate it.
Yeah.
Because you've thrown so much into your body, and your body's going, whoa, let's get rid of this. We don't need this. We want to get rid of it. So now instead of supporting your cellular system and providing great support so that your system can flourish, now you've created more work for it.
Right.
Exactly the opposite of what you need. So